All right, guys, it is Thursday, February the 11th. We do not have school tomorrow, February the 12th. It is a teacher work day. So you guys will not be in school tomorrow on Zoom. So use that time tomorrow, Friday, to get caught up on any work that you've got for any of your classes, because the end of the 9 weeks is coming up quickly. So make sure you guys go ahead and get caught up on any missing assignments. All right, so for review today, we had a couple of questions. The first one, we talked about two types of government spending yesterday. One was mandatory and one was discretionary. So in this question, Social Security and Medicare are two examples of what type of government spending. Those two are mandatory. So regardless of who our leadership is, our government has to pay Social Security and Medicare. So Social Security would go like to these two little kids right here. Maybe one of their parents died. So the federal government would help financially support this family if they lost a parent. This lady right here, she looks like she's probably old enough to qualify for Medicare. So that's health care for the older generation. And then this lady right here looks like she's probably old enough to receive a Social Security check from the U.S. Treasury. So that's different than retirement. So you just get a check from the government saying, thank you for working all these years. We're going to give you a little money after you turn 65. The next question, just a little bit more review on productivity, since some of you guys are still struggling with this. So here, our output, which is what we're making, this is 4,000. That's our output. And then our input is, we've got 4 employees and they each work 25 hours a piece. So 4 times 25. Of course, that would be what we're putting in. So that would be 4,000 divided by 100, which equals 40. So our hourly productivity rate is 40. And the next question, once again, a little bit overview. What type of economic system does not allow competition? That would be a command or communist economic system. So like there's no McDonald's in North Korea because North Korea does not allow the free market, just businesses, to open in their country. And they are a communist country. All right, let's do some new stuff. We did not do much today, but you do have a new activity in Canvas, and I'll get to that in a second. So we do have a couple of videos so you guys will understand what securities are with the government. So securities, i.e. bonds, mean the same thing. Also IOUs, so we give the government money and then they're gonna owe us money in the future. So the government is borrowing money from the general public, like you and I, with a promise to pay us back after a certain amount of time passes. And then what they do with that money, they build roads with it, they pay the military, they do military projects, they pay their employees, like if you're a federal or state employee. So normal daily operations, projects. And then here at the bottom, just an example. If you were to buy a U.S. savings bond for $5,000, you hold on to that for 30 years, you can double your money plus interest. So you'd get back maybe, $13,000, $14,000. But you don't have to get a 30-year bond. You can get a 10-year bond, a year bond. So there's different time periods for these. All right, first I want to show you guys just a little bit different explanation of what a security is. And then we're going to look at, a government project that's being paid for by bonds and taxpayer money. So the first one,
Government securities like these are certificates of government debt. Now, if I buy some of this debt, it means I'm lending the US government money. For example, I can buy a bond from the US Treasury. If I hold it for several years, then cash it in, the government will pay me interest. I'll get back more than the purchase price. The interest you earn on US government securities isn't as high as the interest earned on other investments. On the other hand, it's a very safe investment because it's backed by the US government.
okay. And then also what the government uses that money for.
The U.S. military has smart bombs that are self-guided to hit targets with super accuracy. Now, the Pentagon's research agency, DARPA, is creating smart bullets. The project is codenamed Exacto, Extreme Accuracy Tasked Ordnance. If successful, Exacto would be the first ever small caliber bullet that could steer itself. This DARPA Exacto video shows the path of an experimental smart bullet which was intentionally shot off target. Watch it do something ordinary bullets simply cannot do. While it slices through the air at hundreds of miles per hour, it changes course and turns toward its target. The bullets could help American snipers overcome challenging weather conditions like high winds. So here's how they work. The tips of each bullet include optical sensors. These sensors send signals to tiny fins on the bullets, which adjust the path toward the target. These bullets are still in development, so it might be a while before we see them in action. Project Exacto's goal of creating a better bullet is ultimately aimed at saving more American lives on the battlefields of the future.
All right, so what the government uses that money for. All right, let's review a little bit more. And then we're gonna finish up with what businesses spend. All right, so A, B, or both. Budgets are used for households and governments, both. Making a budget can include choices and spending cuts, both. Mandatory spending includes money for Social Security. We have to pay for Social Security. Our military is not mandatory. It's discretionary. So we don't have to pay the military. Discretionary spending is Congress's choice. Those who get a say in the federal budget are both the president and Congress. Securities are both IOUs and a way for the government to make money. The world sees U.S. securities as trustworthy. Most people think the government should operate at a surplus. Most people think the government should be making more money than they're spending. Borrowed money must be paid back with interest. On the subject of government spending, people usually disagree. People can never agree on money. The government gets money from both tax dollars and borrowing money with securities. The government spends money on things like both scientific research and courts. And that was our review for today. This is our last slide. So we've been talking about how we measure how our economy is doing. So we talked about consumer spending, on retail sales, government spending, and now business spending. So businesses have to allocate their resources wherever they think they would best be used. So for example, we talked about the little town of Enfield today and the town of Hollister. Very small community of maybe, 2,000 people, if that, very small. Maybe one stoplight in Enfield and maybe a caution light in Hollister. those two places, Walmart is not going to allocate their resources to open up a location in either of those towns because the population cannot support it. A Walmart building, guys, is probably, probably $50 million with the inventory and employees. That's not including the utility bill every month. So it's expensive to open up a Walmart location. So Walmart, before it decides on, okay, let's open up a location somewhere, they look at an area's demographics, and they see, okay, can this area support to have a large location like Walmart? Most small locations like that will have a Family Dollar, a Dollar General, because they're not as expensive to operate. And then companies will economize, which just means to sell goods and services that they feel like that area will buy. So like the Dunhams here in Rocky Mount, they sell Griffon gear. Where the Dunhams in Raleigh, they don't sell Griffon gear because they're not going to buy it. People in Raleigh are not going to buy Griffon gear in Raleigh. So that means that companies have to choose which products and services that they're going to actually sell in certain locations. And then if companies use their money wisely, they, make more money. So they can in turn hire more people, they can thrive, they can expand, they're more productive, which makes them larger, and they can compete better with these larger corporations. So for your activity in Canvas, of course, you have your exit ticket, which is right here, but let me show you this. This is due next Friday, the 19th. You're going to pick 2 companies that are thriving during COVID-19. So this kid picked Zoom and Skype, which is owned by Microsoft. And you're just going to compare those 2 companies and submit it by next Friday. These are the companies that have been chosen: Walmart, Target, Lidl, Aldi, Amazon, eBay, Instagram, Snapchat. Instagram is owned by Facebook, so Facebook, Snapchat. Xbox and PlayStation, so like Sony and Microsoft. McDonald's versus KFC, so it would be McDonald's and Yum Brands, and then CVS and Walgreens. So those are the companies that people have picked so far. You guys can shoot me an email over the weekend and let me know which 2 companies you want to look at. But you guys can look at these instructions, y'all can read them, and then I've given you a list of the things that I want you to include in this project. I've also given you the full example of one of my students from last year. He did a great job with this. To give you guys a visual, of course, you need to have your sources. And then I've included your rubric. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys Monday.